meditacionesdiarias.com.
Welcome to our devotional for September 27th, 2023. Today's devotional is titled Revenge for Fear. Mark chapter 11 verse 18 reads, "And the scribes and chief priests heard it and sought how they might destroy him. For they feared him, because all the people were astonished at his teaching." On Sunday, Jesus requested a donkey that no one had ridden on before. It was the custom that everything that was for sacred or royal use should be new, never used before. This was the only time Jesus allowed himself to be honored as the Messiah. A king riding on a donkey was a symbol of peace, and a prophecy would be fulfilled. See Zechariah chapter 9, verse 9. The day after the triumphal entry, Jesus and his disciples were returning to Jerusalem when they came across a fig tree full of leaves, but without any figs. Jesus put a curse on that tree, and the very next day it had dried up. That sterile tree was an exact symbol of the Jewish nation, leafy in ceremonies, but without the fruit of true godliness. The next day, Jesus declared, "Even so you also outwardly appear righteous to men, but inside you are full of hypocrisy and lawlessness." See Matthew 23:38. And thus he prepared his followers to experience rejection from the Jewish leaders. If Jesus compared you to a tree, which tree do you think he would choose? One with only green leaves, some flowers, bearing fruit, or with dried up leaves? Then Jesus went to the temple. He found it had been turned into a marketplace, and he was filled with indignation. When people entered the holy space, they were to leave behind all of the burdens they were carrying as a symbol of their reverence. But the hallways were blocked by merchants, selling animals for sacrifices. Their prices were exuberant, and the animals were defective. Jesus overturned their tables, freed the animals, and cast out the merchants. If Jesus visited your home, what tables would he overturn? What would he find in your life that is blocking his entrance into your heart? What defective offerings would he notice? The religious leaders were trembling because they knew that this work was to be done by the coming Messiah. After a season, the priests and rulers ventured back to the temple. When the panic had abated, they were seized with anxiety to know what would be the next move of Jesus. They expected him to take the throne of David. Quietly returning to the temple, they heard the voices of men, women, and children praising God. See The Desire of Ages, chapter 65, page 592. The children were singing, the sick who had been cured were praising God, and the lame were jumping with joy. This offended the rulers of the temple. They wanted to get rid of Jesus, but for fear of the crowds, they did not reveal their hostility publicly. When there are those who attack you and wish to do you harm, it is because they are afraid of you. When they have no more valid arguments, they defend themselves with shouting, insults, and threats, publicly revealing their fear and ignorance. Amen.
Thank you for joining us. We invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel at m.youtube.com/c/Meditaciones Diarias and to follow us on our social media in Instagram at www.instagram.com/meditacionesdiarias7. May God bless you and your family.